Assalamualaikum and hi to our lecturer, Miss Suryani binti Jack. My name is Mierzad bin Mohtar and my partner is Hisyamuddin bin Omar. We will be presenting the article that we have chosen in accordance with our theme, which is the importance of record management related to business. So the article that I choose here is assisting the appraisal of email records with automatic classifications. The reason why I chose this article is because how automated methods for identifying emails record promise to be a significant benefit to organization that needs to appraise email for long-term preservations and access on demand. So, the objective of this article is to show how automatic classification can assist organizations in the appraisals of emails for the purpose of record management. For the statement of problems, the difficulties an organization faces in its appraisal management, maintenance, and effective retrieval. Some organizations believe that maintaining all email records indefinitely is a viable solution. By doing so, leads to a host of information discovery issues, increased costs, litigation, and employee dissatisfaction. And for the literature review, the sources of references that used for this research paper are from the year 1993 until year 2015. Email is a major source of record-keeping issues in business. One of the reasons for this lack of motivation lies in current email management system, which is suffer from several deficiencies. Historically, archivists and records managers were primarily responsible for determining the worthiness of paper-based records in order to preserve business-critical information, meet compliance regulation, and promote information retrieval in a timely and effective manner. The implementation of appraising the value of email records, automatically classifying emails based on pragmatic categories, and automatically classifying email based on its business value will benefit the business to be successful. The automatic classification experiments demonstrate how emails that have been appraised by experts for their business value can be used to train a machine learning classifier, and that is classifier succeeds with adequate accuracy. Proceeding to the next slide, which is methodology, the study used a qualitative analysis of ad records management expert appraisal behaviors to train a series of support vector machines classifiers to replicate the decision process for identifying emails of business value. A corpus of 846 emails from the two mailbox of these experts conducted automatic classifications experiments. So the first one here is model validation. Following the completion of the SVM model training phase, the LightSight tool was used to perform a 10-fold cross-validation test on each of the 4 SVM classifier models. The second one is data analysis, where the data was analyzed by the second author using two different strategies: semi-structured interviews and cognitive inquiries that were recorded and transcribed. The third one is manual labeling and corpus balancing. Initially, the corpus used for the classification experiments contained 1,023 messages from two participants. The labeling was done by the same researcher who did the qualitative analysis described above to ensure the consistency needed to train the classifiers. So, the fourth one here is merge models. For each SBM model, which was trained separately on each mailbox, was tested against emails from the other mailbox. This was done to see how much variance there was between the features of the SVM trend on different mailbox that detect business value. Proceeding to the fifth one here is baseline comparison with spam and enron. And SVM was trained with a collection of 987 spam and ham emails from the spam assassin corpus. Using the same feature attributes and LightSight parameters as used in the corpus above, to understand how well these business value SVMs compared to a best case, well understood and relatively context intensive binary classification task. The sixth one here is data collection, where 4 data sources were used to develop the appraisal model, which was then used in the machine learning training phase. And to the next one, which is feature extraction, and the main fields in the raw emails have been programmed to be imported into a single CSV, separated value file each column being derived from a number of lexical and non-lexical criteria used for assessing the business value by the participants. And for the last one here is model training. The SVM models discussed in this paper were created using the Lightside Labs researchers' workbench on open source text mining tool that integrates the Apache Open NLP toolkit for a natural language processing and the Weka machine learning algorithm for classification, clustering, data exploration, and algorithm evaluation. Moving on to the next slide, which we have findings or result of this article. This experiment showed that classifiers are highly accurate despite their highly contextual nature as record values. Unlike existing manual practices in corporate email archiving, machine classification models are not heavily reliant on features such as sender and receiver identity, threading, forwarding, or importance flags. Textual features from the email body and subjects field, on the other hand, are the dominant distinguishing features. So for the first one here is lexical and non-lexical appraisal criteria. Email assessment is a complex analysis process, and yet the results indicate that all the IM consultants share common decision-making patterns. This data we have analyzed show that emails are consistently evaluated in four ways, which is social, pragmatic, time, and semantic. Next is appraisal model. The semi-structured interviews, cognitive inquiry interviews, and emails provided by participants allowed us to identify common patterns of appraisal among the IM consultants. These patterns have been organized into an abstract classification model with two top-level categories, which is email of business value and email of no business value. On to the next slide here, where we have recommendations and contributions to business records management. For the recommendation, what I can recommend to this article is hopefully they can broaden this work with a study of larger groups of experts, as well as a group of employees who have no prior knowledge of appraisal theories. To conclude with greater certainty that a machine learning approach can be applied effectively to institutions as a whole rather than just individual users, we believe it is necessary to conduct additional experiments with larger corpora of emails taken from both a broader range of users within a given organizations and users across organizations who share a common set of criteria. While for the contributions to business records management, to make the appraisal strategy and criteria more transferable to other work contexts and to enable classifiers to better adapt to different types of digital informations, for records manager, such a solution will usher in a long-awaited modernization of practices where specialists manage the semantic engines that create meaning from mountains of data. So that is all for this article. So moving on to the next article here, which is Archive as a trusted third party in maintaining and preserving digital records in the cloud environment. The reason why I chose this article is because how Archive can help private organizations address issues related to guaranteeing and demonstrating the evidential nature of digital records and provide empirical evidence for Archive being conceptualized as a trusted third party in maintaining and preserving digital records. On to the next slide here, the objective of this article is whether there is a present case that interferes in a public archive with sustaining and conserving digital records created by a private company to protect trustworthiness of record, in the manner to assist the company to release their accountability. And for the statement of problems, based on the article, when using existing methods to manage records deposited by private companies, archives face some challenges, including the applicability of encapsulation methods, the requirement to manage structured data in fixed form, and the large volume of data involved. Despite the advantages of lower cost, widely distributed accessibility, seemingly limitless storage, and on-demand services, the technical foundation of cloud computing multi-tenancy services and virtualization raise the question of whether cloud service providers have the ability to maintain the authenticity of records that have been transferred to them. And to prove it, while for the literature review, the sources of references that have been used for this research paper are from the year 1922 until 2012. This case illustrates how private organizations can help archive to tackle issues concerning the guaranteeing and proof of the evidence nature of digital records and provides empirical proof that the archives are designed to be a trusted third party in order to maintain and preserve digital records. Aside from archive, several other concepts and disciplines have emerged in recent decades to address the authenticity of record, as well as their maintenance and preservations. Next slide here, we have methodology and findings or results of this article. For the methodology of this article, this paper describes Tianjin Municipal Archive intervention in the management of Tianjin Otis Elevator Company records, the technical infrastructure that enables and supports such configuration, the issues encountered, and the theoretical implications of this case. Tianjin Municipal Archive had designed an integrated technical infrastructure, including a real-time monitoring system for the elevator maintenance database and a server security management systems. This study revealed the wide-ranging implications of the relationship between public archive and private records. Tianjin Municipal Archive is a public archive when the authority is as equal as the supervision with whom Tianjin Otis owes their accountability. When Tianjin Otis deposits their records in Tianjin Municipal Archive, it will effectively release their accountability to the state and their customers. However, this methodology resulted in many doubts as this is a new form of records maintenance. The role in authenticating an archive was mainly to achieve when the record had crossed the archival threshold and would be preserved in the archives. However, the records that transferred to archive are semi-active records. The study also proved that record keeping is not only necessary for the long-term maintenance of inactive records but also for the semi-active records. While for the findings and results of this article, this research has clearly revealed that systematized management is more feasible and efficient than an unstructured, unchangeable format. The results agree with three reasons in terms of the time taken to convert, storage availability, and these necessary informations are updated in the future. To extend that this research is exploratory, results of this study give insight that the public archive need to be agile when adopting to a new technology network environment and handling new norms of record. To effectively address these issues, it is critical to understand archives' role and capability in ensuring the evidential nature of records, as well as how this role can be expanded to meet the needs of modern society. And the last slide for this article here, we have recommendations and contribution to business records management. For the recommendations, it must be admitted that the current study of archive as a trusted third party in maintaining and preserving records in the cloud environment is still far from being conclusive. My recommendation here is further studies must be undertaken, better measures must be developed, and larger samples must be used to improve our understanding concerning the exact relationship between public archive and private records and the relationship between public archive and commercial storage services. While for the contributions to business record management, the changing technological environment emphasized the traditional concept of archive as a trusted third party to preserve the trustworthiness of records as evidence and memory for future generations. In addition to their original role of maintaining and preserving records created by public institutions and thus holding these institutions accountable, archives in China are getting a broader role as private institutions begin to deposit their records into public archives to ensure the trustworthiness of their digital records and to discharge the accountability. This new requirement strengthens the archive role as a trusted, neutral, and impartial third party, while also highlighting the challenges posed by the changing technological environmental to record trustworthiness. So, that is all from me, and I will pass the presentation to the next presenter, which is Muhammad Hisyamuddin.
Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Hisyamuddin bin Omar. Now, I will be presenting the article that I have chosen. The title for my first article is Records Management Practice in Support of Governance in County Governments of Kenya, a case of Nyamira County. And the second article is Records Management Practices in the Administration of the Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. Below, I have stated the bibliographic citation for both articles. Since both articles are about practicing records management, it became a reason for me to choose this article because I wanted to give awareness about the importance of records management and its impact on the efficiency of running a business smoothly. Now, let us go into more detail in the first article. There are two main objectives for this article, which is to establish the contribution of records management in the running of Nyamira County and to determine the adoption of records management policies in Nyamira County. This is the summary of literature review for this article. The sources of references that used for this research paper are from the year 2003 until year 2015. A record is information that is created, obtained, and maintained as evidence by an entity or individual in order to fulfill legal obligations or conduct business. The effectiveness of development projects will suffer if adequate records are not kept. Poor record keeping, according to McLeod and Childs, attract corruption like flies to a carcass. Organizations will have no idea where they came from if they don't keep records. As a result, keeping track of actions is essential. As for statements of problem, the article stated that to obtain information on population distribution, poverty indexes, and social economic activities, records must be consulted. Besides, corrupt practices, a lack of accountability, and weak governance structure have all resulted from poor records management. And lastly, records and information are important. This is because records and information ensure transparency, accountability, and governance while protecting public rights. Now, for methodology. The researchers used a descriptive survey research design for this study, in which the respondents answered the question via interviews and the researcher described the responses. Since the researcher was focusing on a specific issue, the management of records, he used a qualitative research approach. This gives a total of 19 people, which equivalent to 70%, were interviewed. 4 records officers, 3 record clerks, 6 county chief officers, and 6 secretaries made up the team. 4 county officers and 4 secretaries were not interviewed because they were away from their workstations at the time of the interview. There are 3 findings or results that we can get from this study. Firstly, records officers stated that such records must be accurate, dependable, authentic, timely, and relevant. Secondly, apart from a few electronic files kept at decentralized location, records management at the Mierzad County government is done manually. Lastly, the Chief Officer's office require proper facilities, employees and space. They explain that if they had sufficient financial resources, they would hire more record staff and provide adequate training to those who already work there through seminars and workshops. As for the recommendations, the article stated that records could be managed effectively and efficiently, according to those polled with proper facilitation. Employees from all departments also should be trained in proper records management. And the second most popular strategy is centralizing records management and digitizing records. Next, there should be clear policies on records management that promote records securities. To facilitate records management programs, the county should require sufficient budget allocations for contributions to business records management. Effective and efficient records management improve governance effectiveness and efficiency. Proper, reliable, accountable, transparent, and authentic records provide the foundation for making decisions about governance. For example, records management software makes useful data accessible and disposes of unwanted data. Indexing and retrieval capability allows managers and authorized executives to search and find files more faster. For the second article, there are two main objectives for these articles, which is to investigate the records management practices of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion and the influence that this practice has on the administration of the church. This is the summary of literature review from this article. The sources of references used for this research paper are from the year 2000 until year 2010. According to studies, having a functional records management system lowers the cost of running a business. It has also been reported that 75% of the information required to make reasonable decisions in an organization can be found in the company's records. An Anglican Church records management system can improve the quality of business activity. Church benefits from reduced risk from legal or regulatory challenges by finding and producing relevant evidence. As for the statement of problems, the article stated that poor records management system have affected the administration of the Church of Nigeria. Secondly, the accumulation of paper records appears to be the most significant factor resisting the efforts of church administrators. Now, for methodology. The ex post facto causal comparative research design was used in this study. In their churches, 67% of respondents disagree that there are policies or guidelines for documenting telephone conversations, verbal decisions and commitments, meetings and voicemail. Majority of the respondents agree with almost all the statement that portrays the records maintenance practices of the Church of Nigeria, but 78% disagree with the statement that their church's records are preserved manually. There are three findings or results that we can get from the articles. Firstly, the records management practice that has the greatest impact on the administration of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion is records use. Next, records can only be a useful tool for success if they are used correctly. And lastly, the vast majority of the churches investigated lack of site storage for their records. And the Church of Nigeria lacks policies or guidelines for recording telephone conversations, verbal decisions and commitments, meetings and voicemail. As for recommendations, the program should be run by the Primate's office, which will be in charge of it. It should include the creation of a central, secure, and environmentally controlled record center. Church administrators in the Church of Nigeria may communicate by phone or in person, and these discussions should be recorded in a suitable format. For contributions to business records management, all business records are fundamental to the management's ability to function effectively. It has been proven that managing a proper records management plays an important role to the administration in the Church of Nigeria. Work will not only be more controlled, but we will also be able to improve work quality. For example, keep employees motivated. Poorly managed records, unorganized filing system, and frequent loss of important documents creates a poor working environment. It has a direct effect on employees' motivation level. So that's all from us. Thank you.